Daniel Sports Central, we go over a college football game preview and prediction on the Week 12 matchup between the K-State Wildcats and the Kansas Jayhawks, two of your top teams in the Big 12 this season, going head-to-head in Week 12. Kansas State 7-3 on the season. This team lost to Texas a couple of weeks ago, but otherwise this team has only gotten better this season, and they're taking on Kansas in Week 12. Typically, this is a matchup where you would expect the Wildcats to dominate. It'd be a blowout, but Kansas is competitive this season. This team is 7-3. They've been dealing with some injuries in recent time, but this is still a competitive team and definitely a big game coming up here in Week 12. We'll be going over a full game preview and prediction on this matchup here today. Let's get started with your team trends. Kansas State beat Baylor 59-25 last week. Dominant win for the Wildcats there. This team is 5-2 in conference, 7-3 overall. Kansas State is very much still in Big 12 contention, but the thing is, got to win out these last two games if they want a good chance of facing off against Texas in that Big 12 title game. Currently got four teams sitting at 5-2 in conference in the Big 12. Those teams being Oklahoma State, OU, Iowa State, and Kansas State. Iowa State is definitely a team you would not expect there. Same with Oklahoma State this season. A couple of big surprise teams for sure, but for Kansas State, obviously it's going to be critical to win these last two games. That's for Kansas. Now that the Jayhawks are 4-3, it's really looking tough for them. I don't think they even have a chance at this point. They lost to Texas Tech last week, 13-16, but still, this has been a good season for Kansas, a team that's usually a bottom feeder in the Big 12 and has been for many decades. So, I mean, it's been a good season. This team is still ranked in the top 25 in November, and this is still a meaningful game for this Kansas team. If they can win this matchup, even win out from this point for Kansas, I mean, they could be in a pretty good bowl game come December. Games be on Saturday, the 18th in Lawrence. Kickoff 6 p.m. Central. Spread's going Kansas State by 8 here. So the Wildcats are favored by a decent amount. But I think a big reason for that is because Kansas and their quarterback situation. Jalon Daniels is an incredible quarterback. Problem is he's been injured so much. He's been very injury prone, and so Jason Bean has gotten some good time as well. He's actually the lead quarterback for this team this season as the backup, and Jason Bean just got injured as well. It sounds like a head injury, so we'll see if he comes back. Not sure for sure on that quite yet, but that's going to be huge for Kansas to have either him or Jalon Daniels. Otherwise, it's going to be tough to score a lot of points in this matchup. We saw that last week against Texas Tech, only scored 13. But defensively, this team showed up. They're going to really need to have a strong game defensively in KU if they want a chance of winning this one. Your over-under is 56.5. FPI is going on K-State as well, 80%. Series history. Kansas leads at 65-50, which might surprise you, but I mean, in recent time, it's no surprise with this one. Kansas State has won 14 straight. The last time Kansas beat K-State was in 2008. Stat comparison, Kansas State 10th in points per game, 26th in points allowed. This is a really balanced team here in Kansas State. We've seen this team really turn a corner, I think, as well. They kind of got off to a slow start this season, weren't super impressive, but since October hit, this team has only gotten better, and they've been impressive down the stretch. They did lose to Texas, but if they win that Texas game, I mean, this is an 8-2 football team that's probably ranked in the top 10 right now, and they were very close to doing that, having taken them to overtime. And I mean, you look at the backfield, DJ Giddens, huge part of this offense. They're mainly a rushing team. Will Howard's a good passer. He's turned over the ball a bit more than you would hope for this season, and that has been a main issue of this team. But for Kansas, 35th in points per game, 65th defensively. So this defense has allowed a decent amount of points this season, 72nd in passers game. This is a strong backfield as well. You got two strong rushing games here with Devin Neal on the Kansas side, nearly 1,000 yards and 10 touchdowns. He is one of the better running backs in the country. I really do believe that. And quarterback situation, if this team had Jalon Daniels as a healthy quarterback for the majority of the season, Kansas could be very well an 8-2 or even 9-1 team right now. 9-1 sounds crazy for Kansas, but it is very much a possibility if this team stays healthy. I really do think that. I mean, there's a reason. This is a 3-loss Kansas team still in the top 25. That is something that you normally would think you'd never see. But your recent matchups, K-State beat Baylor 59-25, lost to Texas by 3. Two huge wins against Houston and TCU. They outscored those two teams in those 2 weeks, 82-3. Just domination there for K-State. And then obviously the win against Texas Tech, 38-21. As for Kansas, lost to Texas Tech by 3. I feel like the Red Raiders have disappointed a bit this season. They're still a talented team that can really beat anybody, I think, in the Big 12, despite them being 5-5 at this point. Beat Iowa State 28-21, beat Oklahoma 38-33. I will say, though, that Iowa State win, I know the Cyclones were expected to be horrible this season. That's a 6-4 football team. That was a good team that KU beat on the road there. Lost Oklahoma State 32-39 and beat UCF 51-22. Your key points, K-State. This team's only gotten better this season. I mean, this is, at this point, I know that Kansas State is in 4th out of the 4 teams tied for 5-2 in the conference, but I mean, honestly, if there's any team that I think can really give Texas a run in the Big 12 title game, it's probably K-State. Oklahoma's maybe a close second. Even Oklahoma State, though, you can't sleep on them either. But, I mean, K-State is a team that's been dangerous down the stretch. Almost beat Texas, that close. And this is a team that's got experience. They are balanced. And other than the close losses, this team has been dominant. As for Kansas, this is a great team that's been dealing with injuries. We mentioned that with the quarterback situation, especially Devin Neal, huge player for this offense. And I mean, you look at both teams here, sitting at 7-3. Good chance one of these teams gets to 9-3 on the season. I mean, a win would lead to a high-level bowl game for both teams. I know for Kansas State especially, the New Year's Six is still in the picture. I mean, you got to win the Big 12, but and it is still there for the Wildcats if they can win out. But as for Kansas, New Year's Six kind of out of the picture for this team, but they can still get to a pretty high-level bowl game. I mean, the Alamo Bowl is definitely one of the better ones, and for Kansas to be able to go there would be a huge opportunity. But with that, let's get to prediction here for K-State and Kansas coming up here in Week 12 of action. A big rivalry matchup, and with that, I do got to go with the favorite here. Kansas State 31-24. This prediction is optimistic here as well. I think if this team can at least have Jason Bean back for this matchup, Kansas can be competitive. They can put some points up on the board. But the problem is this defense hasn't been consistent enough for me to trust them to keep it close against a strong K-State offense. I do think the Wildcats find a way to win this matchup somehow, and I'm pretty confident with that. But it's just a matter of how close it's going to be. And if the Jayhawks don't have either of their top 2 quarterbacks, Bean or Daniels, it's going to be really tough for the Jayhawks to put up points, especially against a strong K-State defense. So this is a bit optimistic here. I do think it's competitive if the quarterback situation is decent for KU, but I am taking Kansas State right around 55 to 60%. I'm taking the under as well. I think this is more of a lower scoring matchup. If both teams are healthier, especially Kansas, this could be more of a shootout, but I do think we see a 31-24, kind of a moderate scoring game here, and Kansas covering the spread in the end. But with that, let me know your thoughts and comments below on this matchup, and stay tuned for more from All Sports Central. Catch you on the next one.